just behind Kjerstad on the top 100, is a huge riser in the top 100. If you have been following the Orioles farm system closely, you are not surprised at this jump at all. But coming in at number 28 is Coby Mayo. He is just 21 years old at AAA Norfolk. We knew the bat was always going to be good. He was an overslot selection back in 2020. He mashed in Bowie. He hit, I think, 30 doubles in 70-something games. But the biggest thing with Coby Mayo is that just like Gunnar Henderson, the conversation around Gunnar Henderson forever coming up through the minor league system was he is going to be too big for shortstop. He's going to have to play third base, which diminishes his value a little bit. Still a great player, still has a great bat, but the defense at the hot corner, not as valuable as it is at shortstop. For Coby Mayo, it was, he's going to have to play first base. He's huge. He's never going to be able to stick at third base. He's stuck at third base. And he has one of the best arms in minor league baseball. He's still big, but guess what? He's still fast. He's still athletic. He can still play third base. And that is massive for his value.
Yeah, like you mentioned when you began that, he is somehow underrated. Like, people aren't really keyed in on him as they are to other Orioles prospects.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit ridiculous to me because, as you mentioned, he's just as good as a lot of them. I mean, he's very, very good. And it's honestly scary because I don't know where they're going to put him. Like, where are they going to put him? It's a great problem. Where is he going to fit into the lineup?
I don't know. You figure it out. But, I mean, not to go off on a complete tangent here, but one of the biggest reasons that the Orioles have been so successful is their depth.
Yes.
I mean, you look at other great teams around baseball, they don't have the depth that the Orioles have.
They're able to put out like 4 or 5 different nines that can beat anybody.
I mean, Ramon Arias has turned into a rotational piece, and he won a Gold Glove last year.
Yeah.
Ryan O'Hearn has probably been the best backup first baseman in the entire league this year.
Absolutely.
You just had Aaron Hicks come back, and you optioned, because you can, the number 14 prospect in baseball. Like, they'll figure out where Coby Mayo can go. But even guys, around the league who are really tuned in to prospects and prospect rankings and things like that, I've seen lists where Coby Mayo is even higher than Colton Cowser, where people are saying that he might be the second best prospect in this Orioles system. So Coby Mayo, nice to see him up at 28, finally getting some more of the respect that he deserves on these top 100 rankings. Then at number 50, another massive jump in Samuel Basallo.
That's our guy.
He is so fun. 18 years old. He was, in the previous rankings, hovering right around that number 100. It was fun when he got into the top 100. Arm strength, power for Samuel Basallo. And at Delmarva, he was absolutely mashing. And the biggest thing with Basallo was that, coming into the year, you knew he was going to be a good power hitter. You knew that the arm was going to be awesome. But the defense has been solid, and the batting average has been great. I think he hit right around 295, close to 300 in Delmarva. And when you have a complete game like that, it just completely launches your potential really into another stratosphere for Basallo. He's only 18, too.
He's thrown out 66 guys in 57 games.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, that's total insanity.
I think he's up to, 35% of would-be base stealers this season?
I don't know that number, but
I think it's right around that number.
66 assists. I don't know for sure if those are all caught stealings, but when you're a catcher, I kind of make that assumption.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really, really good. And another guy people aren't really talking about. I wonder what the biggest jump from 100 anybody's ever made in the MLB Top 100. Because to go from 100 to 50, it's a big jump. That's kind of nuts.
That's a big jump.
Yeah, this is a kid I'm super excited about. I mean, 18 years old, like you mentioned, mashing down low in the minor league system. It's going to be fun to watch him rise.
And he's in Aberdeen.
Yeah.
I mean, Jackson Holliday was 19 when he went to Aberdeen, and that was still crazy young. Samuel Basallo was 18.
Yeah.
So a lot of room to be excited there. And then kind of staying steady in the top 100 is Joey Ortiz. I mean, you could have seen a jump from him too, but I think Ortiz is just about, I mean, he's been better than I expected coming into this season. I think a lot of people expected coming into this season, but he's just been doing his thing all year long. Just hitting a casual 350 in Norfolk, casually one of the better defensive shortstops in all of the minor leagues. Might be the best defensive shortstop in the Orioles system, period. Joey Ortiz is just a really good player.
I've said this once, I'll say it again, and I'll probably say it again after this. He'd start for a lot of major league teams.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he would start for plenty of major league teams. The fact that the Orioles have the luxury of holding on to him in the spot that they do is so fantastic because, like you said, he might be the most talented defensive shortstop they have, and they have Jorge Mateo.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. So, considering that, he'd probably be the best defensive shortstop on like half the teams in the league.
Yeah, Joey Ortiz, kind of for that reason, was a name that was tossed around a lot at the trade deadline. Very happy that Joey Ortiz is still in this organization. But when you were looking at trades with teams like the White Sox, it was like, well, you know, they would have a starting shortstop in Joey Ortiz.
Yeah.
It was pretty much any team that you looked at that was going to get prospects in return for a starting pitcher. The natural jumping point was kind of Joey Ortiz because it was like, well, here's a major league ready, solid starting shortstop. Here you go. What a luxury for the Orioles to have at this point.
Yeah.
I think Ortiz and Cowser are probably the two names that I am looking at the most as guys that could get the call up when rosters expand to 28. The Orioles will probably go one position player, one pitcher. That pitcher could be maybe, you know, DL Hall, somebody else, maybe just more bullpen help. Brian Baker could get the call back up. But in terms of a position player, you could be looking at two top 55 prospects in baseball at the two most premium positions outside of catcher in shortstop and center field with Joey Ortiz and Colton Cowser.
Which, again, like, to have that instead of having to go out and find somebody, I think is so valuable.
Yeah.
To be able to say, okay, like, instead of trying to sign a free agent or look at somebody last minute at the deadline, they can just say, okay, I mean, we'll just bring up Joey Ortiz. He's a starting MLB shortstop.
That, and it gives you more depth to trade from, too. Because if maybe the Orioles are saying, we're not going to draft a ton of pitchers, you know, maybe we don't feel as confident in developing those guys because we know we can develop hitters really, really well. So maybe they just say, okay, we'll keep developing position players, and if we need to, we can go acquire a starting pitcher because we have a glut of talent up the middle somewhere.